owned Mercedes-Benz dealership in Johannesburg.
Middle East Report with James Dorsey on Sabahul Muslim.
Good morning to you, James, and welcome.
Good morning. As always, wonderful to be with you.
Right. So the recognition of Palestine by the G7 members, France, Britain, and Canada, could be seen as important, albeit flawed and symbolic.
My apologies. Indeed. So you've had France, Britain, and Canada saying that they would conditionally recognize the state of Palestine at the UN General Assembly next month. That is a long overdue move, but also problematic in the sense that Palestinians deserve and are entitled to recognition irrespective of whatever conditions. In addition to that, it really only has symbolic value. Sure, it puts pressure on the United States and Israel, but not the kind of pressure that is going to sway either Washington or Jerusalem. More importantly, perhaps, is the threat by US President Donald Trump to link trade negotiations with Canada to recognition of Palestine. That's not something that he's done in the case of Britain or France, but nonetheless, that would suggest that there may be a battle to come.
The US president appears, at least for now, to have given up on efforts to reshape the Middle East. Trump's focus seems to be on getting humanitarian aid into Gaza. Even so, the way he's going about this seems to be destined to fail, James.
Indeed. So if you look at Trump's efforts to reach, and Netanyahu's for that matter, efforts to reshape the Middle East, what you're seeing is the Gaza war is continuing to rage. There is at this point, no end in sight in terms of a ceasefire that Israel and Hamas would agree on. At the same time, the talks with Iran, the nuclear talks, are stalled. Lebanon has yet to really move on a disarmament of Hezbollah. And you have the tensions in Syria. So in the meantime, Trump is focusing on the food distribution in Gaza and the humanitarian crisis there. And to be sure, I think he's genuine in being moved, albeit very late, by the suffering in the Strip. But it's also designed to entrench Israeli control and is focusing on the very controversial humanitarian Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Up to 1,000 people have been killed since May, when the foundation started its operations, and they've been killed at foundation distribution sites.
Now, US-mediated talks between Israel and Syria serve as a bellwether for the extent to which Israel can reshape the Middle East and impose its will on the region. They are also likely to indicate the degree to which the US and Israel invests or interests rather diverge in Syria.
Indeed. So you basically have a situation in which Israel has projected itself as the protector of Syrian minorities, particularly the Druze in the south, but also the Kurds in the north. It has also basically decimated the ability of the Syrian military by carrying out hundreds of strikes against military infrastructure and weaponry since the fall of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in December. It has banned the Syrian military from operating south of Damascus, in the south of the country, including in the areas that are predominantly Druze. You now have US-mediated talks between the Israelis and the Syrians, as well as Turkish-mediated talks in Azerbaijan that are aimed at basically finding security arrangements to avoid further clashes but also will be a bellwether for whether or not Israel can impose its will on Syria. Fact of the matter is that the Israelis want a weak Syrian government. They want a federated Syria. And at the same time, the United States wants a unified, centralized Syria. And that's where you're going to see US and Israeli interests diverge.
Yeah, so that was going to be the next question, that a far-right pro-Israel think tank has now put flesh on these very suspicions that Israel is seeking to weaken the government of President Ahmad al-Shara, if not break up Syria as a nation state.
Indeed, the Middle East Forum, which is a far-right pro-Israel think tank based in Philadelphia in the United States, has called for essentially for a corridor that would link the Druze in the south of Syria with the Kurds in the north. That's a corridor that would effectively encircle Damascus, would be U.S. protected, would essentially prohibit the creation or the maintenance of Syria as a unified state, and ultimately could lead to the breakup of the Syrian state. What it would do essentially is be a first step towards Syria breaking up in small states based on ethnicity or religion, something that Israel would favor, because that would mean that it no longer has strong foes on its borders.
All right, James, as always, thank you so much for your time and for chatting to us and updating us. We really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Listeners, you can go online and check Substack, James M. Dorsey, and subscribe to the latest articles there. It's just gone now 26 minutes past 7.